we do is we cut out some of the trees so that you can see. When I planted them 12 feet apart, and the rows were 6 feet apart. And you'll see it as we get up ahead here ways. That it's a lot of work in doing that. You have to go through and keep cutting it out and doing this kind of thing. But it's great fun coming in here and working at this place. This is a fun place to come and work. You know, when you're working, you're really not working. You're enjoying yourself. So I had a fish ladder in the dam. I'll show you pictures of that. And I had to dump it down over here because the fish ladder, the fish coming in from the lakes will migrating up to your little streams, and they lay their eggs up here. And then in the spring, these little fish hatch, and they're in safety because they're protected, you know, the little tiny guys. But when you take, for example, if you leave them like that, they won't be able to migrate up or down. The little guys got to go down. When they come up to lay their eggs, they're trout about that long. They lay their eggs. They build a little red, we called it, in the middle of the brook. They build a little gravel bar, and then they lay the eggs. And then the male comes along and puts all the milk, as they call it, and that's where it starts. And each little guy starts to eat, and they're protected, you know, and this kind of thing. And as they get bigger, they drop back, drop back, and after 2 or 3 years, they get back to the lake. It's an amazing thing, and it's kind of fun. I like to sit there and kind of watch them, you know, when they come down, because that's part of the whole thing of being here. So do you think my place is kind of pretty?
It's very pretty.
It's kind of pretty, isn't it? Yeah, it is. It's quite nice. We might see a deer run across the road from us here. I've got a number of different roads. I've got a little road here that I often like to walk on. And I don't know if you're going to be able to see it. It's only a path. But it goes, I guess it's right there. You can see down that little path?
Yep.
Yeah, that goes back. And James, you know what I mean by James, he liked to hunt up here. He got 3 different deer up here, I think.
Really?
Yeah, we had kind of fun doing with that. So this is another little turn, and I've got another pretty little brook down here that joins into the place, and that's really good. One of the biggest problems I have with this is that I have to keep the bridges up and bridge them tightly, you know. And I have some steel underneath them. There's another one of my roads right there that's not too bad. And then I continue on down here, and down in this place, there's another road that goes down that way here that I've got in good land. And this is going to continue on, and we're going to continue on right up until we get to the place where it's a mile long, mile round. This is This is a pretty little brook here, right? Right here. That's kind of a pretty little brook, isn't it?
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm going to hurry up a little bit across here because I don't want to spin on that bridge. So I'll go up. And this is quite a little hill. It's kind of a fun little place. There goes the cook and my friend. And did you have a good lunch with her?
Yes, it was very good.
Yeah, that's good. Wind your window down. Just ask her if she wants to get in where it's warm, or does she want us to go beyond?
I think she'll say she doesn't want
I'm just going to keep going because I don't want to stop. She's going to step over the road. We'll wait for her up on top of the hill. There's some people that come in here every now and then with the skis, and they love to come on this little hill because they get a ride down. So this is more red pine that I've got, and I've also got fir in there and other things. And I've got a little experimental place up here that I'll show you. Just a little bit later. It's still plenty hot in here, isn't it? You want to turn the heat down just a little more, turn it down a little more. We don't need to roast. Yeah, this one right here, just that one. Here's another one of my roads. Going down this way. The roads are sort of interesting. They're small trails and they're fun to see. And all these trees along the road here have grown naturally. I didn't plant these little guys. They're red spruce and fir. And this year I'll come along and I'll take quite a few of these out and I'll plant them in different places where they need to be planted. So in this little spot here, this little block right here, there's quite a difference in trees. The tall guy right there is a pine tree, and the maple tree is this one over here. That one right there, the skinny one there, that is a spruce tree, a red spruce. And then there's one that are sort of, we call hatmatack or that sort of thing. And in the fall, they have needles and they on them that they keep after the other trees will lose their needles, right? So if you want a good forest to grow things in, and I'm sure it's true of the West as well, is that you want to try to have your pH biology, your soil. There's acid, there's some which is sort of acidity, and there's others which are too much of the good stuff, right? So what you want is the leaves that he's sitting on there. I bring the leaves from all of my oak trees and this kind of thing, and I spread it all off over here. So if the road is too acidity or too much acid in it, I'll put some of the leaves around it, which will change it. But if it's like a natural forest, it'll balance between the two. Do you see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
As all the needles will fall off that pine tree there eventually. They'll keep growing out and coming down. Look, see the road down here where Marion's walking?
Yeah.
That's all pine cones right there. And so that road, and the road is not a bad road, and Marion let us go by. She's gonna let us go by. So what I do is I go through, and if you didn't go through and do what Gary and I are doing, you wouldn't be able to see through here. But you can see through it. The snow is sort of blocking it off, what you can see. But you can see through it, and the sun comes in, and that's very important to growing trees and all the other things. So the trees that we let grow one time was the white pine. When I was a kid, the white pine was the most sought-after tree in the Maritimes. And if you wanted to build a house, you would probably board your house in with white pine boards, and you'd do your roof with white pine and on the roof, and then you'd put your shingles on and all of this kind of thing. But nobody does that today. If you're building a house today, you get a 4x8 sheet, right? You've seen them.
Yep.
Sheets 8 feet long, 4 feet wide, and it's not no boards. What it is glued up sawdust. This is what it is. And so the pine trees they have, my pine trees really aren't worth a darn. They're good for timbers under barns, and they're good for timbers for other things. Oh yeah, here's a little place right here that's kind of significant too. Right there, that bump, no, this isn't it, but there's a place right there, I have a culvert in there, which is good. And it's quite a little ways back here. Marion loves to walk back. So we'll keep on, and this next little part now is sort of a natural forest that I didn't plant these trees here, the white pine. These are the white pine trees here. And I thinned them out, and I didn't thin them out enough. And they've grown a little too thick. They shouldn't be that thick in there. And they should be growing big, because eventually you do get big pine trees. But it's kind of a pretty spot to have the canopy right over your road.
Yeah.
And I've heard this man sitting on the chairs behind us say that this was his favorite part of the trip.
It is.
So in the summertime, it's very, very pretty. But these trees will grow big, but they're too thick to do what they really should do. So what happens is that when I come by here one day, I noticed I could see the skylight through the trees. The tree sunsets over there. And I thought, how can I see this? I never could see that before. And lo and behold, when I got up here, at the end of my road, there had been what they call a clear cut. Did you ever hear tell of a clear cut? Well, they cut it all with machinery and don't leave anything. They cut the whole thing. Big trees, little trees, tiny trees, whatever, you know. And then they replant it. And it's unfortunate that that's the kind. Well, there's two different things. You can choose your trees and you can get them out of the woods with the machinery, long cable attached to them, this kind of thing. And, you know, and if they're old and they're going to die anyway, you may as well cut them. But you don't, in my way of thinking, is cut trees that just don't need to be cut, right? And they clear everything. So my line runs right up her head, and they cut out there. That's why I could see the sun through it. They cut everything that was out there, and all you're seeing now is new growth stuff. Anyway, kind of ticked me off because when you do that, the birds like to. I'm going to turn here just for a minute. The birds love to have trees, like there's certain trees that the birds will live in, maple trees, right? And they'll build a certain kind of a nest. Other trees will build in trees that have these kind of trees. And then there's trees that, for example, like woodpeckers eat. They just drill into it. They find little bugs in there and they eat out of that. So anyway, this friend of mine, she's a relative basically, she made this sign for me, and you look out, and I put it up. And what it is, it's about clear cutting. So all the little animals that if you look closely at them, all of them have got tears coming from their eyes. They all got teardrops. The big trees are the big trees that never got cut. So the little message on the bottom of it says, we're sorry that they clear cut your land, but if you're looking for a good place to live, come on over and live in DeMond's place. So anyway, I'm just going to back up a little bit more. That's what I'm going to do. If I can do it. No, I got to go ahead just a little bit. Back up a little more. I've got two little ponds on the tree farm, and basically speaking, the ponds are great for animals to get a drink. And the other thing is about having the ponds is that you have water if you have a fire. And we've had we've had real serious fires in the last year or so up in this country. Some people had their houses just destroyed. Sad, sad. And there's some really overgrowth trees. So I had a sign like this that you can read here that I left because it's a road. My line runs over to that road, and they travel down here with like all the different kinds of gear, you know, coming. And I don't like people. I like people doing what Marion's doing on my land. I don't like people running all over it, right? So anyway, I left a sign like this right here where they come out on that road, and this is what it says. It says on it, this is a mile-long road over my tree farm. It's a very special place. You are welcome to walk over my property on this road. If you have any garbage, please take it with you when you leave. Thanks, Lowell. That's what it says. So anyway, I'll just show you where my little pond is. Now this was my turning place. And you could turn just practically any big truck or transport truck or anything in this. It's long enough for that. There's a really what you call an ancient sort of a forest, this kind of trees like that. That's an old tree. The one right behind it is as well. And we have quite a few areas. When the people came to Nova Scotia, they almost all, I'm going to just get out, and this is another little pond that I dug right here. I'm going to get out and just throw a stick out of the road, and then I'll come right back in. Just back up a little more, and then we'll go out. Marion loves to walk back here. She walks back. Marion loves to walk, period. Yes. She walks 2 miles a day in town, and she's got one speed, fast. That's it. So I'm just going to get this stick out. it's quite a road, isn't it?
Sure is.
Right? I figured it out. It cost me about 51,000. Time you got to dig. If you're going to build a road, you got to have strong stuff underneath of it, and you got to be well ditched so it doesn't wash out. Means you have to have culverts and this kind of thing.
Sir.
But that's important. So we'll back up a little more. And, some people get some strange ideas, and even very, very well educated people, this kind of thing. And a lot of them have science degrees, and they don't always agree, I'll tell you. The hardwood trees you're looking at right here, these are maple, and they've grown just recently after the clear cut. So the hardwood trees are going to have leaves that come out and all this, and they don't want that to happen. They want these red spruce to grow, big, and then so what they are proposing to do is they'll spray this whole area up here, and will kill off all the hardwood trees, and then the spruce trees will grow up for lumber. And but when you're spraying trees like that, you're doing strange things to what happened down below, right? It doesn't all stay on the trees. And it goes, in other words, what you're doing is you're killing a lot of the things that are alive in the ground below. Now the farmers out west spray their lands with things which also kill weeds, right? Did you know that? I know one farmer up there told me, he said, well, I was telling him about my backpack spraying, right, in my roads and things. They said, why don't you get an airplane to fly in and let them spray it? I said, no, I don't want to spray it with airplanes. But I know where they're coming from because, you know, this one guy that I know out there, that he told me that he has an opportunity to sell his potatoes to the big arches. That's what's that?
McDonald's.
That McDonald's arches. He said those people there just love that kind of apple. We're going to buy something on your side, which is almost something that's strange. It's the way the roots of some trees will grow together. Have we hit it yet? Are we close to it?
Oh, yeah.
Did you ever see anything like that?
No.
No. That's going to take me home. I told the guy that was making the road, I said, listen now, I don't want this cut up. You know, just leave that. So he said, well, we'll do that. That's what we'll do for you. So my land ends right here. That's it. So when you look out, they left a couple of trees there, the big hardwood trees. But you see all those bushes, and the land, it'll grow by itself. It's growing fairly well. You see the little trees in here, through here that's growing? It's mostly red spruce and this type of thing. But what they could do, what would really be good if they want to do it, is that when see the maple clump out there, how many different branches there are on it? Look the one straight ahead right over there. See how many trees? So if you want that to grow right, the most you don't want any more than 4 mature trees to come out of that sprout, right? So you got to go through it and pick out the stem and let the others go. And I'll show you on the way down what really happens by doing that. Because those trees like that just won't amount to much when they get larger because they're just too big. So maybe you're going to become a forester.
Maybe.
Well, let's put it this way. There's a lot of young people in the universities and this type of thing studying to become foresters and this type of thing. And I have a visit from some of them because they want to come over and see what I'm doing over here, but there's nothing special that they didn't know about, although it's fun for them to see it. This is a good place to turn, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Right? And I've got all hard land, rock underneath this. And my road is really nice and smooth, you know. When you get along here, when you're going through here, you won't find too many bumps. It's what we call Class A gravel. But you've got to have these ditches that you dig it out on the side, and you can see it doesn't hurt these little trees. And I'll cut a lot of these down. I'll pull a lot of them out and plant them. So I'll have some growing spots that need to have a new tree. But it is smooth, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, Marion just loves to walk this there. I kind of don't like to see her come back here just by herself, because the kind of coyotes that we have here, the coyotes that lived in the West originally were only short, small animals, and they got mixed in with wolves, right? Did you know that?
I didn't.
You did? No, well, that's true. And so as they moved towards eastern Canada, they grew back and very, very big. And some of them would be about that high, like a big German Shepherd dog.
Oh, really?
And there was a girl down in Cape Breton that I think basically what happened, I think she was feeding that. They were feeding those coyotes. And I think what happened is that they were hungry and they killed her. And when I used to be up here working in the field, I always used to be down to my hands and knees digging holes and this kind of thing and planting trees, you know. I never ever thought for a minute that I should turn around and look back and see what's behind me, right? After that girl was killed in the woods, I'd plant a tree, and every now and then I'd stop and turn around and look and say, is one of these coyotes looking at me, thinking this is dinner? So that's my road, and that's my tree farm. There's still some pretty good trees in that second commit place. I'm going to get some buckets out of it and stop that before we visit the little camp. And I'll show you some of the boards that I sawed out. I had a portable sawmill. They can bring it right in the woods, and they can saw with it in the woods and do their lumbering there. So I've got some stored in there. So I'll open that, because I don't think that you have looked into that building yet, have you?
No.
And the worst part of it right now, they're both of my places are sort of a mess. And Gary and I are going to build some places in it so that we'll know where everything is and what's going on. But now, I want to show you one of these sets of trees, like the way it should be. See a tree, if you look at that maple tree right there, just past this one, see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or whatever. And they're all in a clump like that. And see that one over there? And they're never going to grow very big. And if you want some hardwood trees to get big, you've got to leave them space. So what I do with mine is, you'll see them here. And if you look down at this one, see that right there? There's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 in one group and 3 in the next group. And I'll keep cutting those out until I have about 3 in each one, right? And they'll grow big. You know, they'll run lots of space to grow, and it's a good way to be. So we'll continue on this journey. I thought you might like to see the length of the place and what it looks like. And the little fir trees and the spruce trees there, I'm certainly going to plant those this year. There's my bell again. You'll get it 5 times. It only do it on the road when you're driving if you hit a big bump. It's still going. I think it's open. No, it's got one more. But I had a lot of fun one day sitting on this little bridge, I was sitting on it having my lunch. I just had my lunch, and I was sitting right on it, dangling my feet down over the edge. And I looked down and I saw this trout, and it was a trout that was probably about that long. It was a female, and she was making that red we call them. It's like a gravel bar down there. So I just sat very quietly and never moved. And she stayed right there. And the first thing, she began to lay her eggs on that little gravel, on the gravel. And then the male came along and did what he had to do there, and then she and he both got their tails going and covered up everything that was planted there with gravel.
Wow.
And in the spring, the eggs hatch. It's quite something. It's pretty interesting.
It's been cool to see that.
I'm going to speed up a little bit because I don't want to fail getting up on this hill. Down this road, on each side of the road, there's a place down here I don't want to drive down in there. But it's a good road down in there. And in that road, I have two trees, two red pines, one on this side, one on this side of the road. So when the guy came with his big truck, I said to him, can you get through there without with these two trees? I don't want to cut them down. He said, well, I'm not sure I can, but we could try it. I said, well, okay, if you want to try it, we'll just see what we can do. He said, I might be able to do it. So anyway, I told him, I said, I have two grandkids, and
You know what?
well,
It's like walking in a winter wonderland. It's ever beautiful.
it's hard to, it's very pretty, isn't it?
Yeah, lovely.
How's you walking?
Oh, it's good. Yeah.
We're going to stop at the first container. I want to get 5 buckets, and then our next visit's going to be in the little building.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
don't
So
you
then anybody wanna
listen?
walk the rest of
No,
the way?
don't you try walking across that little bridge down there, because it's kind of slippery. I'll give
You
us.
mean into the cottage?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You have to be real careful, Mary.
Yeah.
Grampy, I think we're gonna hop out and walk with Nan.
Okay, you're going to walk with Dan?
Yeah.
Sure, go ahead.
Thank you for the driving tour.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
That's good.
We'll see you at the cabin.
See you at the cabin.